It is a technique for making a couple's connection permanent, public, and recognized. In actuality, it is the process of two people being held in a relationship that is supposed to last until death. However, divorces are cutting it shorter and shorter these days. Therefore, we should keep in mind that marriage is not primarily about procreation. We must be aware that, in accordance with what they assert, a man and a woman's marriage is completed when any party fulfills the behavioral prerequisites of procreation. Here emphasis is on mine. According to popular belief, a successful marriage combines mutual respect, honest communication, commitment, and intense love. One should not, however, ignore the fact that a flawless marriage is not a goal. It is a phenomenon that is ever-changing. It is important to study and practice the art of keeping a marriage fresh and innovative at all times. If your marriage becomes stale for any reason, take urgent action to clean it up and revitalize it. People frequently indicate how well-suited other couples are to one another in their speech. The reality is that no two marriages are comparable, since each one is a wonderful creation of the persons involved and a narrative developed by those personalities. This piques our interest in the much-pondered issue: is the myth of the perfect marriage real? If we keep in mind that a marriage is the religious union of two regular, flawed persons, how can we say that the connection between imperfect persons is perfect? Yes, I wholeheartedly concur that some marriages seem to be perfect. But keep in mind that they are deeply in love, never dispute, display affection in public, agree on practically everything, and do make the claim that their marriage is happy. Let me state emphatically that such couples never divorce, which is unquestionably a unique phenomenon, and that everyone feels as though they live in a cocoon of love, life, and laughter. But it would be absurd to claim that they have a flawless marriage without ever experiencing a dull moment. We are fully aware that every marriage experiences unique moments. There should be tough and exhausting periods in any partnership, so why be wed? Every marriage goes through trials and challenges during their lives, which need tenacity and a commitment to the other person. Marriage is not a goal, as we all know. Contrary to what your future mother-in-law or grandma may try to convince you, marriage does not truly have a clear-cut definition or set of rules. Innovation and maintaining a youthful appearance are creative arts that can preserve a marriage. Every union has a unique manifesto. Anything that works well with a husband or wife, whether it be making ridiculous jokes with the husband, which should be ideal with loving and understanding couples. It is up to you to decide what kind of marriage you want. You are the only one who understands what love is. Even though I write about love, relationships, and women's empowerment, my definition of love or your mother's view of love would likely be very different from yours and your husband's. Learn the language of love. Create a new love language, even if it means you have to. Find new, creative ways to bring happiness and fulfillment into your marriage whenever possible.
According to popular belief, a successful marriage combines mutual respect, honest communication, commitment, and intense love. Let me state emphatically that such couples never divorce, which is unquestionably a unique phenomenon, and that everyone feels as though they live in a cocoon of love, life, and laughter. But it would be absurd to claim that they have a flawless marriage without ever experiencing a dull moment. Learn a language of love. Create a new love language, even if it means you have to. Find new, creative ways to bring happiness and fulfillment into your marriage whenever possible. Today, we'll explore regarding Adam and Jenifer's marriage. Until Death Does Us Apart is the title of the narrative.
Hello, I'm Adam, and Jenifer is my wife. 10 years ago, we got married to each other. Jessica was the only daughter we had. We were residents of a little town close to South Carolina, USA. My 6-year-old daughter had attended school. Our daughter is lovely and mirrors the beauty of her mother. Jessica and I have a close relationship. So does Jessica's mother. We adore Jessica, our lone child. Jenifer and I serve as one another's partner, greatest friend, and inspiration. I enjoy a life at your side and want to keep celebrating our life together for years to come after marriage, when we are promised to one another. Before we got married, Jenifer and I were incredibly eager to embark on this new journey. We'll be in this life together, no matter what it throws at us. We will be surrounded by love, filled with joy, and at peace with ourselves. Before we got married, Jenifer and I thought that the bond between a husband and wife was one of the loveliest relationships there was. It is a solid love, trust, and commitment relationship. A husband desires his wife's affection and respect. So, a wife ought to treat him well to make him feel unique. You might easily surprise him by sending him a lovely, heartfelt message. Don't worry if you don't have time to write. Here are some lovely love messages for your partner. You can choose any of them, copy it, edit it, and send it to your husband. Jenifer and I both thought that every day in my life started and ended perfectly. It begins when I roll over to see your face and it finishes in the evening when you embrace me. I enjoy being with you more than anything. Jenifer and I shared the belief that every heartbeat belonged to us both, that every ray of brightness came from us both, and that every breath I take is for you. I adore you. Not because you're my husband, but because I trust you. I have faith in you because you exemplify all a guy ought to be. Jenifer and I both held the opinion that you and your affection are the reason I'm happy. Your love gives me strength and motivates me to work hard no matter where I am. We were truly meant to be together. As the one person who can do anything for me and who genuinely cares about me, you own a significant portion of both my heart and my life. I adore you, honey. You make our marriage exceptional. Jenifer and I organize it. I make our marriage workable, and you make it ideal. You give it wings, while I keep it rooted. I cherish you. I got all I asked for from you. I learned everything I needed to know from you. When I was sad, you helped me with everything. What more do I need? Let's kiss to declare our affection to one another. Without you, all the riches and comforts in the world would be meaningless. The gem of my life is you. I cherish you. I'm very delighted I discovered my perfect mate because Jenifer and I both thought it was difficult to find one. Finding the ideal life partner who is so kind and compassionate is difficult. I'm glad you entered my life. I adore you so much. But after 10 years of marriage, my wife's perspective had shifted. I'm not sure what transpired with her. Here, I'll talk about my wife and I's marriage and how the simple things in your lives are what really matter in a relationship. It is not the mansion, the vehicle, the property, or the amount in your bank account. These things alone cannot make people happy, but they can contribute to the environment that does. Spend time getting to know your partner and attending to the subtle details that promote closeness. And take pleasure in a very happy marriage. If you wish to hear my experience, please put everything on hold and find a quiet area in our home. Alternatively, you can sit under a tree where there is fresh air and bird chatter. In my case, I spoke to the audience about my marriage to my wife and how relationships are truly just about the little things in life. It is not your house, car, property, or the sum of money in your bank account. While none of these items by themselves can make individuals happy, they can help create an environment that does. Spend some time getting to know your partner and paying attention to the small things that foster intimacy. And enjoy your incredibly happy marriage. Let's begin. You can recognize and envision your husband's voice while I talk in front of you as Adam. That evening when my wife served supper after I arrived home, I grabbed her hand and whispered, "I've got something to tell you." She took a seat and dined calmly. I noticed the pain once more in her eyes. I found myself suddenly unable to open my mouth. But I had to express my thoughts to her. I desire a divorce. I brought up the subject subtly. My statements didn't seem to offend her, so she instead sweetly questioned, why? I did not answer her query. She was upset over this. You are not a man, she yelled as she flung the chopsticks aside. We didn't communicate with one another that evening. She was in tears. I was aware that she was curious about the state of our marriage. She had broken my heart to Jenifer, though, so I could barely give her a satisfactory response. I stopped loving her. I was really sorry for her. I created a divorce arrangement with her being allowed to own our home, our car, and 30% parts in my business out of a strong sense of shame. She gave it a quick glance before shredding it. The woman with whom I had shared 10 years of her life was now a stranger. I felt bad for her for wasting time, money, and energy, but I was unable to take back what I had said since I adored Jenifer so much. Finally, as I had anticipated, she began to sob loudly in front of me. Her sobs actually felt like a sort of liberation to me. I had been preoccupied with the notion of divorcing for a few weeks, but it seemed firmer and clearer today. She was writing something at the table when I got home quite late the following day. I skipped supper and instead fell asleep right away since I was exhausted from my adventurous day with Jenifer. She was still sitting at the table writing when I awoke. I simply didn't care, so I rolled over and fell asleep once more. She offered her divorce terms in the morning. She demanded a month's notice before the divorce but didn't want anything from me. She asked that we both make an effort to lead as normal a life as we can for the duration of that 1 month. She had a clear justification for these conditions. She didn't want our disintegrating marriage to distract our kid from his exams, which were due in a month. I could agree with this. She also wanted me to remember how I had carried her into our bridal suite on the day of our wedding. She asked that every morning for the next month, I carry her from our bedroom to the front door. I believed she was losing her mind. I complied with her strange request in order to make our final days together tolerable. Jenifer was informed of the terms of my wife's divorce. She exclaimed incoherently as she laughed. She added mockingly, no matter what she does, she has to face the divorce. Since I made my stated decision to divorce my wife, we haven't made physical touch. So we both looked clumsy the first day as I carried her out. Behind us, our daughter clapped, and Dad was cradling Mother in his arms. His statements caused me to feel hurt. I carried her over 10 meters from the bedroom to the sitting room, then to the door. She said, "Don't tell our daughter about the divorce," while her eyes were closed. I nodded while having some angst. She is placed outside the door by me. She went to stand in the bus stop lineup. On my own, I took the car to work. We both acted much more naturally on the second day. She sat against my chest. Her blouse's scent was detectable to me. I became aware that it had been a while since I had given this woman my whole attention. I understood that she was no longer young. Her face had small lines, and her hair was beginning to gray. She had suffered as a result of our marriage. I briefly questioned what I had done to her. When I picked her up on the 4th day, I felt a sense of intimacy returning. The person who had devoted 10 years of her life to me was this. I saw that our sense of intimacy was returning on the 5th and 6th day. Jenifer wasn't informed of this by me. As a month passed, carrying her got easier. Maybe the regular exercise made me stronger. One morning, she was deciding what to dress. She put on a lot of gowns but was unable to find one that fit. "All my outfits have gotten bigger," she moaned. She had become so thin, I suddenly realized, and that was why I could carry her more easily. I suddenly realized that she had suppressed a great deal of suffering and resentment. I unintentionally touched her head with my hand. "It's time to bring Mom out," our daughter stated as she entered the room. He had grown to regard witnessing his father execute his mother as a crucial aspect of his existence. My wife gave him a bear hug while motioning for our daughter to get closer. I avoided looking at him, out of concern that I could suddenly alter my mind. After that, I carried her in my arms as I moved from the bedroom to the living room and out into the hallway. She gently and casually encircled my neck with her hand. It was much like the day of our wedding as I closely clutched her body. But I was saddened by her significantly reduced weight. When I held her in my arms on the last day, I was barely able to take a step. Our daughter had attended class. I remarked, I hadn't observed that our lives lacked closeness, while holding her closely. I quickly exited the car without locking it after driving to the office. Any delay, I feared, would cause me to reconsider. I climbed the stairs. I apologized to Jenifer and told her that I no longer desired a divorce when she opened the door. She gave me an amazed look before touching my forehead. "Are you feverish?" she spoke. Her grip on my head was released by me. I said, "Sorry, Jenifer, I won't get divorced." She and I probably didn't cherish the little things in our lives, not that we stopped loving each other, which is why my marriage was monotonous. I now understand that because I brought her into my house on the day of our wedding, I am required to keep her until death separates us. Jenifer appeared to awaken unexpectedly. She slapped me hard, shut the door, and started crying. I went downstairs and got in my car. I placed a flower order for my wife at the florist on the way. I was asked what to put on the card by the salesperson. I wrote with a smile, "I'll carry you out every morning till death separates us." When I got home that evening with flowers in my hands and a grin on my face, I ran upstairs only to discover my wife dead in the bed. I was too preoccupied with Jenifer to even notice that my wife had been battling cancer for months. She wanted to protect me from whatever negative feelings our daughter would have toward me if we went through with the divorce, since she knew she would pass away shortly. At least in our daughter's perspective, I'm a devoted husband. The moral of the story: what actually counts in a relationship are the little things in your lives. It is not the mansion, the car, the land, or the bank account balance. These cannot bring about happiness on their own but can help to create an environment that is. Make time to get to know your spouse and take care of the little things that foster connection. And enjoy a truly blissful marriage.
Hawa, oh,